What do you say? It is time for another episode of Three Guys Before the Game. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I got a good one for you. We got a good one for you. Summer series continues, and we are delighted to be joined by one of the all-time great Mountaineer football players, consensus All-American, first-round NFL draft pick, Brian Jozwiak is our guest. We're about to have fun. Look at that dude. I think he's kind of like wine. I think you're improving with age. I really do. I mean, you're looking good.
But, you know, there's two ways to improve. You can be a fine wine that improves, or you're a moldy old cheese, which is pretty good, too. So I'll take either.
You know what?
Thank you, Tony. You look good, too.
I never thought of
Brad,
that.
you look good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
This is good. This is really cool. I watch this all the time. I hope you know that.
I didn't know that.
I watch all the time, and I enjoy the
Awesome.
the aspects of this.
Stupidness
outfit,
of
man.
the
It's fun.
stupidness.
Stupidness is probably a better
you
word.
guys are good. You're entertaining. I guess that's the factor we're looking for.
That's why you're here. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. Three Guys brought to us by GoMart. Go for good times, go for GoMart, and go get that GoMart rewards card where right now you can save on food and fuel every time you go there. The rewards pile up, and so do your savings. Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Joe's lives in Florida. He's surrounded by water. You talk about a guy that knows a few things about pontoons. He knows pontoons. He knows tri-toons. He knows the whole
And probably
deal.
everyone that he sees is from Lou Wendell. I would
Every
think they
boat
just
that
take
he
him down
sees.
there.
Well, I think.
Is that confirmed?
Well, this is unconfirmed. He came up from Florida just recently, and we'll tell you why he's here. He came up the eastern seaboard in a pontoon from Lou Wendell Marine Sale. There was a couple of bumps here and there. South Carolina was a little rough, but other than that, he made it into the Baltimore area and then just
Got into the Inner Harbor? Got all the way into the Inner Harbor there?
Came in Inner Harbor, took the Erie Canal, then he got here.
In a pontoon?
Done.
Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed.
We'll
We're
work on
going to confirm that. All right. Good to have you, man.
Oh, good to be here. Wasn't no pontoon.
Yeah, I know. So Joe's and I hold a special bond in that we're the same age. And so when I came to West Virginia, my very first season was Joe's second to last season. He was a junior, which was the '84 season,
Yes,
which longtime Mountaineer football fans remember as just this incredibly eventful and enjoyable season. It had the highest highs, and then it had a couple of valleys after everyone got hurt, and then it ended on a peak when they beat TCU in the Bluebonnet Bowl, and then the next year Joe's finishes his career consensus All-American, which back then meant it was awesome. Back then it meant they got plexiglass and they enclosed or entombed your locker.
Yes, they did.
And so, like, if you're in the Mountaineer locker room, there's locker, everyone's using it. And then if you're consensus, they put plexiglass on it, and it's kind of like it would be the Mountaineer football version of being like a one of those mummies, right? They mummify your stuff. You got your helmet in there, you got your jersey in there, and everything.
There was two of them.
Yeah.
Me and Tally.
Yeah.
Tally was first. I was second.
Daryl Talley.
Yes, sir.
And so Joe's is a special dude, and then obviously drafted in the National Football League by the Kansas City Chiefs, and, 7th overall pick. Pretty doggone wild. And here he is.
I'd say.
And here he is now. What is that? How many years after it's all done? Like closing in on 40 years later. And he and I, we were talking here before. Now, I've used this analogy. So, like, when we talk about the '84 season, we talk about it like it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
But if you do the math on it, like younger people now, they look at us like we're talking about, like, was it in color back then or was that black and white? How did that look? And it goes by so doggone fast.
But so to further that, it'd be the equivalent of an '84 if you guys were talking and someone brought up the 1944 team.
Right. And we
right? And you guys would have gone, what are you talking about,
like,
1944?
Stop bringing that up. That they didn't, did they even move then? Like, but it stopped. So, like, it proves a couple of things. Time never stops. Time goes by fast, and we're super old. and we're super old, but feel good.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it also reinforces the fact that we got a heck of a daggone timeline here at West Virginia University.
Yeah.
What we've accomplished in all those years you're talking about, and here where we are right now, I think we're
Hell of a run.
I think we're doing pretty daggone good in the grand scheme of things.
And you know
but
what
I'll
else?
say this: I wouldn't trade all the NIL money you got, seriously, for the experiences in those early '80s locker rooms. That right there. Now, I'd have taken a little extra money back then. Pitcher of beer and some wings. That was enough. I'd stay all day. But honestly, that time frame, that experience, and those guys that I shared the battlefield with, that was awesome stuff, man. I wouldn't trade that.
When you look at that now, that is an absolutely historic piece of West Virginia football, because Don comes in '80. And he starts to build it, right? And they won 6 games his first year. Then they won 9 in '81, 9 in '82, 9 in '83. And we got to, 7 in '84, but it included the victories over Penn State and Boston College and Syracuse and the bowl game. In other words, that after you did all that, then they had the injuries and you lost to Temple, Rutgers, Virginia.
Yep.
Right? And so, in some order. And so, but you're right. So the guys that were here then, that was the seed plant for what became the '88 team, because the Under Johnsons and all those guys that came in '84, they redshirted in '84, played '85, '86, '87, and they seniored out when they were '88, and that was the national championship undefeated season.
Absolutely.
So you're right. You were right in when, if you were a startup, you guys were employee 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at Facebook or at Google. You guys were the first in to start the whole thing.
Yeah, and what a special time that was, and it's we build empires on the shoulders of those that laid the foundations, and of course our foundation was laid long ago. Our history. That's what I was talking about. This timeline that we've been on. We've all stood on the shoulders of those that came before us, and there's always been an attitude at West Virginia. The taking the pail to work, putting on the hat mentality, and that was passed on from generation to generation. And when Coach Nealon arrived, he latched on to that concept, man. It's all about the fans. It's all about the people of West Virginia. This is for them. What we're doing is for all of us. Mm-hmm. And that's a heck of a responsibility. And I think that mentality, I've seen that modernly with Neil Brown and what his philosophies are. Different landscape, same game, and same fan base that we're talking about. So, it's all interconnected, Tony.
Yeah. Something else happened in that '84 season. Don Nealon began to visit WVU. At that time, it wasn't WVU Medicine. It was WVU Hospital.
Yep.
And he would go over and bring players with him over to visit the children. And that began then, and that also began the spring game donation of fans going to the game and donating the dollars from that. So, with that being said, you're involved in that. And 34 years ago, you begin to continue that legacy and tradition. And you started as a golf tournament. And this is what I was thinking about when we had the opportunity to get you in here. Man, it could have been so easy for you if you did it for about 5 or 8 or 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. And just go hey, man, it's been a great run, 10 years. I don't live in West Virginia anymore. Hopefully someone can carry the torch and go forward. But you come back every single summer, and we're getting ready to do it again next week. We're recording on 3 of July, and this is the 34th Brian Jozwiak golf tournament.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's great. Good for you, dude.
Cry.
Good for you. I mean, that's
one
fantastic.
thing being said. My dad told me I don't raise a quitter, so I don't quit. So you got to run me out or just take me for what it is. And 34 years later, this thing is just bigger than it's ever been. It's so exciting to be still attached to university, and more importantly to the kids at Children's Hospital. My son was born there. Being part of that, what you talked about, those times that Coach Nealon would take us over there to visit those kids, and they kids don't know who you are. Mom and Dad did, but you got your jersey on, and you walk in, and they just light up. And if you give them just a second to get off the track of the mundaneness of and the fight that you're in, and we'd go visit them kids. And, of course, Coach Nealon used it all the time on our practice field. You're running 40s out there complaining, and all he had to say was, hey, think about them kids and what they're going through right up there on the hill. So suck it up. You got another one in you. Let's go. And it worked. But for me, it resonated even more because, the fight that a lot of those kids and parents and folks are going through, and then having the support of a really great hospital, people that care, that just mattered to me. And when I was done in Kansas City and came back, being involved, I had to give back. That's the other thing that my parents, and of course reinforced by Coach Nealon, always give back, never take for granted, give back as much as you can in time and value. And we started that golf tournament, Scotty Sears and I, and got some local folks together, and we kicked it off. And 34 years later, all the businesses and the supporters and the sponsors and the folks that have come and gone, and we even have a couple of teams, honest to goodness, 34 years later have never missed.
34 in a row.
34 in a row. And I think there's 2 teams that have done that. And I can't thank all these folks enough. We got a heck of a committee that's involved, and it's just a really cool weekend now. It's all weekend raising money and awareness for a 10-story facility that's right here in Morgantown that is a gemstone of children's hospitals in this country. Pretty cool.
So it's one thing to want to give back like you did, but to see it and watch it grow to the level that it has. And you mentioned It's not just a golf tournament anymore. What else has it gone to at this point? Is there bowling now involved in this?
Oh, brother, we kicked this thing off. First of all, it's called the Legends, right? So, like you were saying, Tony, man, we're 61 years old, brother, man. We're talking 40 years ago. The Legends, right? You gotta be old and dead.
That was Sam
to be a legend.
Right back then, it was Sam Huff. It was Freddie Wine. It was. All right, it was Marconi. It was
Jerry West.
All
these names,
right.
So,
welcome to that group. You're a legend.
We're all going to go there,
Yeah.
But here we are, and a lot of great guys come back. If I start naming them, I'll miss out on it. But the Bo Orlandos, the Timmy Agees, the Mike Foxes, the Mike Comptons, the Daryl Talley's rolling in, Curlin Beck's coming in. We started doing this kickoff meet and greet the legends Thursday at Tropics. That's where it kicks off, 6 p.m. This year, Tony, you mentioned about, Coach Nealon's involvement with Children's Hospital now 40 plus years. We're celebrating Coach Nealon. Coach Nealon is the one, and all these guys are coming in, and we're gonna get together, and it's not gonna be like that Tom Brady roast. I promise you that, because there ain't nobody got enough fodder against Coach Nealon. We got a crooked finger to make.
That's it. Yeah, just a crooked finger.
You said last night that'd be the first one out.
Yeah. There ain't much, but we all have our little things, and we're gonna have some fun with them. It's more of a tribute. It's more of a thank you for all you've done for not only Children's Hospital.
That's happening where? Well, that's happening where?
That's at Tropics.
That's so is that you're doing that the night before the tournament?
That's on Thursday. That starts at 6.
And those tickets are still available.
Yeah, you can come up to the door. It's like $100 a ticket.
It is. I'm looking at it right now. 6 o'clock, July 11th. 6 o'clock, July 11th. $100 per person. You're also going to do a live auction, live music, and honoring Don Nealon and the 84 team. Let me just do this whole thing. The next day, sorry if you want to play, the golf tournament is sold out. But wait, there's more. The day after that, which is the 13th of July, the Saturday, it's a first. It's Suburban Lanes, right? Jerry Lorenz and the gang. And the first annual Let's Go Bowling with the Legends. And each team of 5 people can enter for $250. If you're just a spot-on person by yourself, $50. Each team bowls with a former Mountaineer football player. Family-friendly, 2 games of bowling, appetizer, and that's available. And you can register at suburbanlanes.com. And then after that's over, that goes 6 to 8. After that's over, you go up to Kegler's Clubhouse upstairs. And this is free and open to the public. Free always works. And there's going to be Daryl Talley will be there. You can mingle with Daryl and other Mountaineer legends, and it'll mark the official launch of Daryl's NFL Hall of Fame campaign. And they're going to announce exactly what the plan is there to get Daryl inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. And you can follow this on Kegler's social media and Brian's, which is Joe's Knows Kids, JOZNOZKIDZ, Joe's Knows Kids. All proceeds from all of these events will go to WV Medicine Children's and the Haas Foundation. There you go.
Yeah, that I need to re-mention that because, we got some title sponsors. Am I allowed to throw these guys out there?
The only rule we have
so important.
The only rule we have is this. There aren't any rules. Go ahead.
Got it. I love it. I can play by them rules. That's easy, right? No, honestly, all the people that support it and come out and be part of it, but, the title sponsors, the folks that put up the money that really allows us to do what we do and do it right, are just tremendous people. The Thursday event that we start off with is fantastic because Iron Synergy steps up, gives us a donation that basically covers the night. And then everything that we do above that, after we pay the bill, all that from Thursday night, which is a pretty good chunk. We do a live auction. We got some really cool stuff that we do, and it's a fun time. That all goes directly to Haas, and Jeff Hosteller and his foundation and what he does because he's able to, he knows the ropes. I mean, he's on the board up there. He's part. I mean, he's the spearhead for Children's Hospital. He knows how to push that money where it goes. So all that money goes there, and then Friday, Vision Homes and Pepsi. Rocky Simmons. I don't know if you guys know Rocky.
We know Rocky.
Rocky's a special guy.
Yeah, we know Rocky.
We got into a bit of a thing, because again, sponsors come and go, and when one steps down, you got to find another to keep it rolling. Which 34 years later, I might say is pretty cool because folks have stepped in and stepped out, and then someone else steps in. So it's apparently it's a good thing that we're doing. So, Rocky stepped up and Pepsi's always been our guy. And, so that's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to those
But
folks.
it's full. The Saturday gig though, I mean, if you're a bowler or you just want to meet some Mountaineer, as we call them, legends, if you want to come out and hang out and visit with Daryl Talley, this thing that we're doing at Suburban Lanes, this was the brainchild of none other than college football ballot this year, Aaron Beasley. This is his brainchild.
Beasley brought the bowling.
Bees is the one. We got the bowl, man. There's going to be some trash talking. We're going to get in there. And so we're going to
Does he bowl regularly, do you know?
Who the heck knows,
Yeah,
man? I don't
interesting.
know. I doubt it. But,
Yeah. I hope he doesn't try to intercept it.
Oh, I hope the balls just don't start flying across
One
the
lane to the
daggone
next.
lanes.
Yeah.
Jared will be up there losing his mind.
Yeah.
No, generously, Suburban Lanes and Kegler said, "Hey, whatever you guys make, they're not taking anything. So that $250 that we bring per team, that $250 goes right to Haas. Okay. So you know what I mean? We're helping raise the money, but it's the business owners and these folks that are out there that have the means to do that and support, that step up and say, hey, it's all about the kids. It's all about that children's hospital, and I want to be involved. I'm so thankful and appreciative of all those that we have brought to the table over the years that, hey, they do it to see us and hang out with us, but no, they don't. They do it because I think we all know someone that Children's Hospital has been, part of, and we're a part of that. So, it's pretty cool. It's going to be a heck of a weekend, man. I can't wait. I'm trying to get some little extra sleep and kind of, I might have to go get that extra shot, just to make sure I'm good to go.
Yeah. Well, they got this. You're not as young as you used to be. You just turned 61, huh?
Man.
Yeah,
you
so
know what, though?
How about this? Turn 61 on West Virginia's birthday, June 20.
That's pretty appropriate.
Centennial birthday.
That's pretty appropriate.
The centennial birthday.
63.
1863, 1963. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That's really neat. So you were destined to play here because you were born on West Virginia's birthday, or you were destined to be here.
I believe that. I truly believe that.
How did Maryland not get you?
Maryland called one morning at like 5:30 in the morning. It was Jerry Claiborne. It had just snowed. It was the end of December. Phone rings. My dad answers it. I get on the phone. He says to me, hey, listen, son, you might not want to go to school today because if you slip and fall, that scholarship will be given to someone else. Okay, yes, sir, Coach Claiborne. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Click. My dad was like, what do you want? I said, he told me not to slip on the ice. He goes, what? You ain't going there. I said, okay, good. No, man, hey, whatever. I'm good.
Who recruited you?
Oh, Bob Simmons.
Oh, it was Bob.
Bob Simmons. First thing he ever said to me, hi, I'm Bob Simmons from West Virginia. You need to buy a jump rope, son. I was like, what? Buy a jump rope.
You wanted to get your feet going.
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
So he came to the school?
Oh, he was in the gym there. Yeah. Yep. They came. My senior year, I was a big kid growing up in Catonsville, Maryland.
No.
But I didn't start playing football until 10th grade. Okay, so I didn't have a long history of playing football. I was as raw could be. But, at 6'5.5", 285 pounds at that time, that's a big kid back then. And there was a guy that was at Mount St. Joe, which was the local parochial school in the area, and they had droves of recruiters back then. You, of course, couldn't do it electronically back then. You had to physically go and meet these kids. So this guy would say, hey, you got to go check out that big kid over at Catonsville. And that's how that started. And these guys started finding out, hey, man, watch this kid. He can actually walk and chew gum at the same time, and he's a big kid. A lot of times they're kind of floppy and, like them young puppy Labradors. But, I must have had something that appealed to them, and maybe it was more like it should be. We're not doing this for what you've done. We're doing it for what you could possibly be, the potentiality of the development process. How good can this kid be?
Right.
So they saw something in me, and Bob Simmons, and I took my trips to Wake Forest, North Carolina, Nebraska, went unofficially to Maryland.
So you went to Nebraska.
Unofficially to Penn State.
You went to Nebraska when
I took the Nebraska trip. Remember back in my day, you signed a letter of intent, and then you signed a national letter of intent. So the letter of intent back there bound the university to you and said, we have a scholarship for you no matter what, but it didn't bind you to that until you signed on National Signing Day.
Wow.
So the week after I was here on my visit, I called Bob Simmons on Monday and said, hey, I'm going to take a trip to Nebraska. And he about lost it. He goes, wait a minute.
Because that was they're rolling in the 80s when you were going to visit them.
Yeah.
That's like they're at the height of the college football.
They picked me up in a Learjet with a big N on the title on the tail. I was in that with Tim Harris and John L. Williams. Remember them two names? And we flew to Nebraska. And, of course, I got out there, and it's halfway across the country. It was intimidating as all get out. Like you said, that was the big era of Tom Osborne. Bort Epley was the
Who was their great lineman that may have given him
Dean Steinkühler.
Dave Remington.
Dave Remington.
I mean, come on now.
Dude, Turner Gill was a quarterback.
Turner Gill.
Tom Rathman. Mike Rozier. Irvin Fryer. They played for the national championship.
What? Okay, so I'm out there, and it's winter conditioning, and I go into this, shell building. They got to have 300 guys, and they're all – and I looked at that and went, ooh, it was a little intimidating. I mean, I could play there, but it was a little intimidating. And I said, you know what? It's too far away. So I got back. My dad picked me up from the airport there in Baltimore, and we're driving back on Sunday. I said, Dad, I need to go back to West Virginia. I need to know if that's where I'm supposed to be. In other words, feel it in the gut.
Right.
All right, feel it in the gut. So he took off work, drove me back on Monday. I got here. And just I knew as soon as we got into the mountains, man, I was like, I feel home, man. I feel home. And it was so special to drive up to that new stadium and go in there and be greeted like family and everybody, it was really special. But the deal sealer happened later on that week because we didn't spend the night. We went back home. My dad had to work tomorrow on Tuesday. About Thursday, there's a knock at our door.
Here he comes.
And there's Coach Nealon,
Donnie
Young, Bob Simmons. Donnie Young and Coach Nealon are both standing there holding a big paper sack full of raw kielbasa. My dad, Polish from Buffalo. My dad's sitting in a chair.
Your dad's from Buffalo?
He's like, hey, man, I smell kielbasa. Yeah, he's from Buffalo.
I didn't know that.
All the Polish area up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He goes, I smell kielbasa. Who is that? My mom says, it's Coach Nealon. He goes, well, get his ass in here. I was like, all right. He comes in. He's like, what's in the bag, Coach? Oh, we got you some fresh kielbasa. Monica Lewandowski was his secretary back then, and her old man made it in the garage. All right? This sausage comes in. My dad
So
goes,
it's a different kind of bag than what they
"Hey,
show up with now.
You're signing at West Virginia tomorrow." I said, "You betcha I am." I said, "Oh, yeah, that sealed the deal. That's a heck of an NII deal. Get signed for 2 bags of sausage."
Now it's a 7-figure deal.
Different bags.
If they knew he was going to be a consensus All-American and the 7th pick in the draft, how much would it have cost him just to walk in and talk to him?
Well, it would have been all
now
the
it's
kielbasa.
sausage.
All of it. Would have to bring all of it.
The factory, the
would have owned the company.
Malecki factory
That's
in
right.
Buffalo, New York.
That's right. Hey, Tony, as long as you've known me, man, I ought to just put a sign on the back of my car. I work for food. I've told you, give me a freaking pitcher of beer and a couple dozen wings. I'll stay all day.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a fan. But
Good
Mike
stuff.
Jacobs was your line coach when you got here, right? Or was it McMichael?
Well, when I got here, I was recruited as a defensive lineman. I was a nose guard. And so me and Ernie Anderson was the only 2 guys signed in 1981. And who are we with every day? Bill Kurlavich for 3 days. Me, Ernie, and Bill Kurlavich cussing at us, spitting at us, throwing stuff at us, sweat, stuff flying out of his mouth. And me and Ernie are beating the living crap out of each other.
You're the only 2 there.
3 days.
This is for those that
I
don't
swear
know.
to God.
This is when the freshmen used to come before anyone else.
3 days.
So you do it by position, and so for 3 days, like he's saying, it was only 2 kids.
At Kurlav. And we just beat the living dog out of each other, man. And then all of a sudden, the upperclassmen show up, which is the Darryl Tallies, the Dennis Folks, the Oliver Lux. That crew comes in, and of course, we're forgotten. They don't know us from Adam, right? And you know, what happened to all the love? You know what I mean? Nobody cares. Well, you know, I'm this big kid, and it was tough to block me if you were 240 pounds, and I'm, 290. So I kind of worked into the starting lineup, and going into the opener, 1981, I was the starting nose guard. And on a Thursday before the Saturday game, I was in a goal line scrimmage. We did 10 scripted plays every day on the goal line, which was live. This is full equipment. This is 2 days before a game. You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
It's amazing.
And
now.
we get out there and we're beating each other up. Well, I blew my left knee. Monday morning, I'm in surgery. Doc Bowers is scoping me, fixing my medial meniscus, and I got a
Was it
little
a
bit of
scope
tear.
back then? It was probably a cut.
I was
You scoped
you
back
gotta
in
remember now,
81.
Doug Bowers was on the original team that actually started arthroscopic surgeries, which was again non-invasive back then. And so, hey, I had the surgery. I like 4 weeks later, I was out there running. I came back and I got back in the lineup. Dave Oldblack then became the nose, and I was Oldblack's backup. I worked back in as the number 2 guy. We're getting ready. There's like 2 games left in the season. I do my right knee. So I'm laying in bed. My mom and dad are up there. I'm up there at Ruby, man. Just had my knee repaired. And
Was this another scope or was this a cut?
this was another scope.
Another
Thank
scope.
God. Thanks, Doug. God rest your soul. But
Yeah.
anyway, we go in there and Coach Nealon, Kurlav, Carl Battershell standing at the foot of my bed. Kurlav's got his head down, all bummed out looking, and Coach Nealon stands there to inform me and my mom and dad that we're going to move you to offense. Because, again, there was no knee brace protection back then, right? So the protection was, hey, this guy's tall. He's going to have problems getting cut. He's going to be standing up a little bit. Let's move him to offense, which thank you, Coach Nealon, because that was the best move that could have ever happened to me, taking a defensive disposition onto the offensive line. And now you give me the snap count. That means I can move before you. We're going to have some problems. So that was a great move for me. And I didn't actually – 82, again, was my then redshirt freshman year. We go out there, we beat Oklahoma, another pinnacle game in, Don Nealon's timeline. But I didn't make that trip. I didn't actually play until about halfway through the season when Kurt Keel sprained his ankle, and they called my name, and, man, my butt went like this. I went, uh-oh. And I was going out to play Rutgers. They had a defensive lineman out there, played for the Raiders, a guy named Bill Pickell.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's a
I
good
got to
player.
go lock horns with this guy as a wet behind the ears rookie. And I held my own. I'm not going to lie to you. I held my own. And that was the start of it. And once I took that job, I might have even said on the way out, Kurt, hope you enjoyed the ride, buddy, because this is mine now.
You Lou Gehrig'd him?
Yeah,
see.
Hey,
so when you were being recruited out of high school, then what were they recruiting you to be? Like when you came to West Virginia?
defensive lineman.
Nebraska too?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I never knew that part of it.
Yeah, I had a little bit of quickness. I had a little bit of I don't even know what that was called, because I was always raised as a kid, turn the other cheek, be nice, don't be but something, man, I got out there on that field, and that little animal used to like to come out. And I think they saw that, I could handle my body as a big, raw, young kid. Again, when I first got to West Virginia, I couldn't bench 225 once. It fell on my chest. But I had that, what we used to call it, that cornfield strength. I could pick up a bale of hay and throw it, but I couldn't bench press 225.
Right.
So, but again, we're looking at it in potential. And I think that's what they saw mostly was that movement. I could move. I wasn't afraid. And again, you got 285 to 300 pounds in the early 80s. That's a big body back then. So I'm gonna require a double team. You're gonna have to hit me with two guys, and then let that linebacker do his job. So that's how that all started. But like I said, I'm tickled I got moved to offense. That was a fun run, man.
We talked a little bit before the show started about just mentality you have to play the game of football, whether it was back then or now. So did you have that right away? You said you didn't start till late, and you said that wasn't your general demeanor off the field. But when you took the field the very first time, did you feel that? You could feel the switch flip, and you're like, okay, I'm in attack mode now?
You had to, Brad. You had to. And I think, honestly, that developed after my very first high school football game. 10th grade is when I figured it out. When my mother, who fought tooth and nail not to let me play football, finally agreed. And, of course, my dad was pretty tickled about that. But after my first game against Cardinal Gibbons, I was met at the gate by my mother. You ever play like that again, you ain't never playing. You're wearing my name on the back of your shirt. I went, ooh. So I better start letting the animal out a little bit more, you know what I mean? And that mentality kind of was laid then. I didn't really understand the game from that mental standpoint until I met my roommate in college, a guy by the name of Jack Kessler. And he taught me to cross the line and get a little, I mean, you got to come on, man. I mean, football, you got to be a nut job to play this game. I mean, you really do. I don't care how eloquent you are. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care. When you get out there on that grid, man, you're on a battlefield where you're battling for inches, man. There's 11 guys trying to take that piece of real estate, and there's 11 guys over there saying that ain't changed.
Right.
It's the same game. And to do that, you got to be nuts. I mean, you really do. Well, I didn't really understand that until I started hanging around with Jack and shaved our heads into mohawks and cut the sleeves off our flannel shirts and walked around Morgantown going, yeah. So, I hope I never hurt anybody along the way. It was unintentional. But again, you have to learn how to throw, you said that switch, now, it took me a while to disseminate. Once I learned how to throw the switch, I had to really learn how to shut that switch off, because that switch always went on. So I had to be the number one guy on the football field. I had to be the number one guy in the sprints. I had to be the number one guy at the party, last man standing. I ran that thing hardcore. That mentality, so it took me another couple years to really learn how to throw that switch down. Mm-hmm. And then by that time, I spent 3 seasons in Kansas City and had that mentality in my head. And, to this day, I have to really control myself. Like walking through Walmart and stuff, sometimes I just want to just run up and just, but, you can't do that. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think I got a handle on it. Might have took 61 years, but I think I got a handle on it.
My perception of you, though, is that, yeah, you could be really loud and you could be very intimidating, but you never crossed over the line. Like, you weren't like a knucklehead. I mean, as you know, there's a lot of knuckleheads that are just constantly. You had the ability. That's why you're still doing what you're doing. If you were a ding dong, people long ago would have said, "Get the hell out of here." But you've always been beloved because of that ability. But yeah, when you were out there, I
got lucky along the way.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of folks in my world that have been guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that have taken this hard head and push you back into the lane a little bit.
To chill out. They give you the old chill.
Yeah, and like I said, I like that term guardrail, Now, hey, if you're going fast enough, you can smash through a guardrail and go over a ravine. You know what I mean? So they don't always, keep you safe. But I've been blessed to have had so many folks along the way that saw enough in me to take time out of their world to kick me back into the lane. You know what I mean? And thank goodness they didn't have this kind of stuff back in my day. Too.
Yeah, that's right. Those pictures might have been.
There's no evidence. Everything's plausible deniability. That wasn't me.
Well,
but I'm sure there's a lot of people got stories out there that got stories that, because they're out there.
Also, statute of limitation has expired in a lot of different things as well.
That's good. No, I never hurt nobody.
I know.
That's like you saying. I never, there was that guy I had to throw down the steps at Fat Daddy's and if you're listening, sorry about that, but you brought it on yourself.
Were you bouncing? Were you bouncing?
I was bouncing there.
Were you bouncing?
Oh yeah, that was probably everything was a violation back then. But
was this in season? This was in spring. What was this?
No, we didn't do this. I don't remember really doing it during the season. We'd go hang out there.
So when you bounced, and what happened with this one particular case? What happened? What was the situation?
Oh, he was talking junk on some gal, and the gal looked at me and gave me that look of, help me. And I went over there and said, hey, buddy, quit doing that. He turned around and he took a cut at me. So I grabbed him by the back of his hair and up underneath his arm, and I took him out. You remember Fat Daddy's, that big giant wooden door with the stairs that went down? Man, I took him out that door with his face. Boom! And I turned around and I chucked him down the steps. Then I went to the manager and I said, hey, I think I just threw some guy down the steps. Anyway, ironically, about a dozen years later, that guy was a lawyer that I ran into up in Wheeling.
Seriously?
Talking about statute of limitations.
Seriously?
Yeah. And we had breakfast together talking about stuff, and he looks over and he goes, you don't remember me, do you? I said, oh. Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. And, he's like, man, he goes, are you kidding me? I was like, I'm so sorry. He goes, hey, are you kidding me? I tell people this story all the time. Yeah. He said, it's a hoot. No, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But, you never I always would come to people's rescue. I've always tried to be. As an offensive lineman, what are we? We're protectors. Be a protector.
Protect the quarterback, right? Protect the young lady. That's what you do. Protect the kids. Now you're protecting the kids.
Right? Protects, right? Yeah. And that's what we do.
Three guys before the game.
That's what we do.
Yep. 3 guys before the game, brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. They happen to be the largest pontoon boat dealer in our state of West Virginia, and they've been doing it for over 40 years, which means, like Joe's, they have stood the test of time.
Amen.
They sell Avalon boats. Those are made, as you can see right there for those of you that are watching, right here in the United States in the state of Michigan, and they are the premier pontoon. And that is a semi-live look at Lou Wendell Marine. And you can go to their website, LouWendellMarineSales.com, and they've got a live camera there. You can see what the water's doing. You can see what the boats are doing, and the selection is absolutely fantastic. So check it out, LouWendellMarineSales.com. 3 Guys is also brought to us by the good folks at Comax Business Systems. They are the premier office supply company here in the state of West Virginia. They do business in all 55 of our counties. They've been doing it for over 25 years, and they do a bunch of different stuff, whether it's business equipment, digital phone lines and services for your business. They got you covered from 1 line to 1,000 lines, competitively priced. You want to buy it? You want to lease it? You want to rent it? What do you want to do? Whatever you want to do, Comax will visit you, and they'll check it out. Visit ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com. Well, the good thing is, Joe, is that nothing's really changed in the game of college football in the last 40 years.
Yeah, okay.
So like you said, and this is the amazing part, 2 days before you're ready to play a game, you run 10 scripted plays of goal line, which would never happen now in 100 years. This has gone more to the pro mentality that you ladder up, and then on Saturday you play the game. It's amazing, isn't it, what we thought back then was good and acceptable as far as the contact. Now you look at it, and it's basically the opposite of what we thought it was supposed to be.
Yeah, but, I'm still going to hold on to the philosophy that, I got to build a callus. In order to know how to hit properly, I got to do it. Mm-hmm. But again, the tackling techniques have changed so dramatically, and how the movement is. But if we start making a move back to power type football, and you're going to ask this guy to attack off the line of scrimmage, you got to be able to teach that. You got to be able to, It's tough for me, again, because I was raised, but, coaching high school football, I coached the same way, but modified as we grew with the tackling changes and things like that. You're taking the head out of the contact as much as possible. Coach Nealon used to say all the time, you want to take the head out of the game, take the face mask off the helmet, right? But we can't do that. We understand. It is different, but because of the fact that you're not beating your body to death, come Saturday, I can hit the throttle a lot faster. My body's recovered.
Yeah.
So there's two sides of that argument all day long, but
how do you feel?
Different game.
How do you feel right now? When you wake up, do you have constant aches from your years of playing?
I've had 2 hip replacements. Bowers fixed both my knees back in the day. I have aches and pains. I hurt in my wrists. I mean, we punched all the time, and there's aches and pains. But I'll tell you what.
For the most part,
for my age, I mean, I can go out and play 18 holes of golf. I can go out and walk a couple miles. I can hold my own at the bar top. I can do all that stuff. So I feel pretty daggone good for putting myself what I put it through, and here being 61 years old. I feel pretty daggone good, I like Florida. Get out there in the sunshine, get a little vitamin D going, and just I'm retired, so I kind of live in a cave most of my day. I don't watch any news, so my life is semi-stress free.
Good for you.
Good drive
for you,
a lot
dude.
and go out there and visit and do my thing and blah blah blah. And here I am coming up here, and now I used to come up back in the day because, I got family and little kids, come up, for a couple, 3 days. Like now I come up and spend, 3-4 weeks and hang out, and it's just, I love this state, man. I love these people. I love everything about it. I like drive. We took a drive the other day down towards Davis, Bowden and over in that area. And man, talk about God's country, right? All day long. Beautiful stuff, beautiful people, and I love it. So, I feel good, man. I feel good, and I'm happy. Got 2 grandkids.
Good for you.
And all the family will be coming in for the golf outing, and they support that, and we're all part of it. It's a big, giant family. Going to be a good time. Going to be a good time.
I'm going to ask you a positive and a negative.
Okay.
What's the biggest regret that you have about your career, if anything at all? Like what do you look back at and go, son of a gun, I shouldn't have?
I should have never signed with the agent I signed with coming out of college. That guy was a freak. And if I ever see, matter of fact,
he's still alive.
Dude, I don't know. I hope not. I hope I never see him. I almost killed a guy in South Carolina at a gas station because I thought it was him. I got out. I looked out the window and I'm like, is that Art Wilkinson? I think that's Art. And I looked and I told my wife, I said, get ready to call 911. She goes, why? I said, I'm going to go kill somebody. And I walked around the corner. This is God's honest truth. I walked around the corner of my car and this guy's standing there pumping gas. And I get this, and it's him. And it's him. And I go up and I loaded like this and I went like this and I was going to hit him right in the temple. And he turned and he looked at me and it wasn't him. And I went like this. I swear to God, I went, hey, welcome to South Carolina. And I ran around in front of my van, man. I pulled the nozzle out. I said, we got to go. And we took off. But, yeah, that's my dad told me, you don't need an agent. Let me get you with a financial guy. But, I was a cocky kid, thought I knew everything, was convinced I needed one, and hired a knucklehead. And
he stole money.
That's the regret.
Stole money, right?
Oh, stole all kinds of money. Oh, all kinds of money. Got us in scams. He wrecked. He wrecked numerous. Ralph Sampson was involved in that, and I shouldn't name names, but there was a lot of people involved in this back in the day, and back in the day, a lot of people got trapped. That's the scary part of now, man. Everybody out there, you got people coming out of the woodwork, and there's so much money involved, and now NIL going all the way down into the high school setting. Yeah. You got so much stuff that's out of control, and but back in my day, they were there too. They were vultures, a lot of them, and that's the one regret because it caused me financial issues and took a lot of years to bounce back from that. And thank God I didn't have to end them because I'd be in a lot of trouble for that. So all good. That's it.
Is the biggest positive coming out of this what you do now, the legacy of being able to help kids?
Oh, 30 years of coaching and teaching, 20 of them in high school. I wouldn't trade those experiences. That was such a fun time working with them young football players and developing them. Everything that spurred out of all of it, the timeline. Every day's a page in your book, and we all have an opportunity to write that every day. And I've been very blessed to have had, again, a lot of people help me along the way. A lot of really cool things have happened in my life that changed course direction, but never quit. Pick up the pieces and keep pushing forward and find something else. I mean, there's a lot of mountains in the mountain range. Ain't like there's, Mount Fuji and that's it. We got mountains everywhere. Go climb another one. And that's it's always been my perspective, and never quit and keep pushing. And there's always somebody out there to help.
You said something that you didn't start playing organized football until 10th grade. Were you playing any sports prior to that?
We didn't have video games. We're growing up in the 60s and early 70s, so we played outside. A lot of pickup football.
So you weren't a basketball guy?
No,
you weren't a
I never
baseball
played
guy?
organized anything. I was in a band, Tony.
Excuse me?
I was in a band.
Hey, and what instrument?
Wait a minute, hold on. You want to? This is an event in my life where that great line in the movie A Knight's Tale, right? Change your stars, right? Can a man change his stars?
Sure.
You bet. And things happen, and my mother would never let me play organized football. And when they finally let me, they took me down to the Little League, and for my age, I had to weigh X number of pounds. Well, I was, they were like, we need a birth certificate because this kid's 16 years old, and I'm like 8. so anyway. So I in 5th grade I picked up an instrument. I picked up the saxophone.
Oh my!
And by 9th grade, I was an all-state saxophone player in Maryland. I went to all-state, cut a record in 1978. Honest to goodness, and I loved it. And I actually auditioned. There's a music conservatory in Baltimore called the Peabody Institute for musicians.
How about this?
And I auditioned. And I missed the audition cut by 0.02 of a point. I missed a couple of 16th notes, and
that
I got
16th
cut.
note will always get you.
And I got cut. So I went home, and of course I was crushed. And then going into the 10th grade year, I'm in it's 10th grade, first couple of days, before you hand out PE uniforms and stuff. I'm in the gym bouncing around basketball with some guys, and the basketball coach comes over, and Fred Unero, West Virginia guy, actually. And he comes over to me, hey, big guy, you play any basketball? I said, yeah, in the street. He goes, here's a basketball. Run down there and make a layup and then dribble back. So I get the ball, and I go, boom, boom, and it hit my foot, and the ball rolled over the other side of the gym. So I run over there, I get the ball, and then I finally get up underneath the basket. I'm trying to make a layup like this, and I finally dribble back, like maybe 4 minutes later. And Fred, Coach Unero goes, hey, throw me that ball. So I bounced it to him. Beep, beep. And he goes, listen, son, I want you to go to room 206. That's Art Reeves. He's the football coach. I want you to talk to the football coach. So later that day, I went down and talked to Art. I said, hey, can I get on the football team? Oh, yeah, we got tryouts coming up tomorrow. I went home, asked my mom and dad, can I play high school football? Yes. Yay! So I got in there, and I fell in love with it so fast. And, of course, back then there was no warm-up. You have full equipment on day one. And went out there and beat the daylights. Them Oklahomas, this first day, I ain't never worn a helmet in my life. And I'm out there beating it, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. So I started going to football practice, and I was missing band practice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the band director met me in the hallway. Usually it's the football coach giving the ultimatum, right? No, I met Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy walks up and says, hey, son, you haven't been to band practice. I was like, no, man, I'm playing football. Well, you can't do both. Too much time.
Ultimatum.
And he gave me the ultimatum. It's either band or football. I said, here you go, buddy. Here's your sax. And I never played it again after that. That was it. I was done with the instrument and found another instrument. Only this one was an instrument that I was able to go out there and beat up on people.
Yeah. Well,
and get beat up too. But that physicalness is what appealed to me. That fight. I couldn't do it in the hallway. You get arrested. So you go out there on the field. People buy tickets to watch you do it.
So 10th grade, you are absolutely raw as raw can be, and they have to teach you basically how to play the game of football. Everything starts from scratch. So 2 things. Have you ever played the saxophone since?
No.
Do you have any inkling whatsoever now that you're retired? Maybe just like
No.
grab, you don't. But you were like really good, dude. It's there.
Yeah, but
You could have been Clarence Clemens.
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Okay, so you're not going to restart.
I'd rather go watch somebody that does it really well.
Okay, fine.
As opposed to me standing in the back. They're throwing me out of my neighborhood to hear that.
Well,
But no, I'm good.
the second part of that is this. So as a former high school coach, you also were involved and watched how the evolution of kids nowadays play sports or don't play sports, right? They specialize in sports.
Oh, yeah.
You were unique because most kids your age were playing multiple sports and they would go, but you were unique in that sense. Like, what is your sermon to parents as far as what your guidance would be if their kids are young and starting to play organized sports? Should they do everything or should they do one thing? Or what's your take on all that? Because I'm sure you've seen all that. You've seen 7-on-7 passing become the thing. You've seen the whole thing.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway?
I'm around it. My son's the head football coach at Clearwater High School down there in Tampa.
Your son is Thor?
Thor.
Yeah, that was one of the
Thor.
all-time great names.
Who was born at Children's Hospital, right? Born at Children's
Did you
Hospital.
get that name, Brad? His son's Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Thor.
Hey, thank goodness he's 6'4", 320 pounds because it works. But
Wait. You saying Bruce wouldn't have worked for him? Yeah.
Does fit. Or if he was 5'8", 140, I don't think it works. Is maybe more the point.
That would have been a hell of a problem, Joe.
Oh, man.
If your kid was 5'8", 140, and his name was Thor, that would have been like Johnny Cash boy named Sue.
I covered that, though. His
Middle
given name is Thornton. Thornton. I was able to sell that to the wife because I came home and said, hey, I want to name my son Thor. She goes, yeah, right. That ain't happening. Oh, but we later found out she had a family member back in there somewhere named Thornton. I said, why don't we name him after him? Call him Thornton. That way, if he does turn up, out there, selling shoes and working and going to the club, and he could be Thornton. But no.
Anyway,
he ain't a Thornton.
So he's a high school coach. He's a head
high
coach.
school
That's good
football
for
coach
him,
down
man.
there at Clearwater
And
High School.
he played collegiately.
Yeah, he played at USF.
Yeah.
Had a heck of a career. Had a little went to the invite at the Tampa Bucks and got a little taste of that for a minute, and then he got into coaching and teaching and all that good stuff.
Good for him.
Yeah. What was the question?
So what did Thor do growing up? Was he a football guy only?
Yeah, he played football. Oh no,
But
the multiple sports stuff compared to specialization. That was the question that you had asked me. My philosophy is this, and I hear college recruiters. That's why I mentioned Thor, because I see the recruiters in there, and you know what? Again, we're back to there's a couple of different schools of thought. How do I feel about it? I truly believe that you can burn out doing one thing all the time. When you're in high school, most high school athletes are never going to see a college experience, and most college guys aren't going to ever experience a pro experience. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're in high school, man, live it. If you could play 3 sports, play 3 sports. Because I'll tell you what, when you're developing skills and you're interacting with other players and other coaching philosophies, all this stuff then pans out when that college recruiter comes in, and I'm watching this kid run track, I'm watching this kid wrestle, the Zach Frazier's of the world,
Yeah, absolutely.
multiple sport athletes affect you physically, mentally, emotionally, So, I think especially when they're really young, you can burn a kid out, and you got to be cautious because, we all guilty of living vicariously through our kids. I want to see my kid. Believe me, I sit up there and watch my kid coach. I gloat. I puff up like a peacock, man. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
But that's what we do as parents. But to see those dollar signs, especially nowadays, oh my God, everybody wants a piece of that pie, and there's a lot of money to be had. But you know what? That's how many get a shot at it.
I know. That's the part.
Be cautious what we're doing to our kids. And that being said, I'd rather see that kid out there working and training and doing all that than sitting at home and spending 8 hours on a cell phone. So, there's all kinds of, scenarios that we can paint here. I've always been a multiple sport when I was coaching, and I've always encouraged kids, hey man, if you want to go play baseball, go play baseball. Go run it, man. Because again, when you're done high school, that's probably what you're going to be talking about 15 years ago, my high school experience. So
that's really good. That's really well said.
Thank you.
I think sometimes people lose sight of how difficult it is to get a college scholarship, and then obviously the pro thing. But that's, as you well know, I mean, you can go over Mountaineer football right now, and I guarantee you over 80% of those kids think they're going to play in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And the reality of it is 1.5% probably will play in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
2% maybe.
And those guys, that 2% you're talking about, 80% are these guys that play 2-3 years and injury or whatever comes and kicks you to the wayside. Now what? But still, it's how many? I mean, really, realistically, living in Tampa, you're probably more likely to get hit by lightning. You know what I mean? Seriously, and that's the way it is. But hey, never lose sight of having fun, man. If it ain't fun, when I played football, it was never work. When I coached, I never felt like I was working. I was training, I was developing, I was having fun, man, fun. And I think we miss that too. Hey, no matter how you cut it, man, we're talking about a game, and games are supposed to be having fun. Now, in our game, fun is winning. Losing sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Fun is winning.
Sure.
So, if you're going to be a winner, you got to put in that work that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I never called it work.
So, a couple other things here before we cut you loose.
Yeah.
Daryl Talley, were you still on defense did you ever go against him as an offensive lineman?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
At West Virginia.
Yeah. In practice.
And again, when he was with the Bills and I was with Kansas City, I got the block against him there.
So what was his deal? Why was he so good?
Speed, mentality, his demeanor, his ability to lead. He would set the fire and dump gas on it, and everybody would follow. He had that kind of effect on a locker room and a huddle. Just a great teammate, though he almost made me quit. Pulled the chair out of my locker as a true freshman. I'm out there, my chair out of the locker, and Nealon used to get a little index card. He'd call out names after the second two-a-day. And if you did a violation of any kind, you didn't weigh in, you missed breakfast, whatever, and he called my name and left my chair out of my locker. Man, fat guys don't want to run extra. So I made sure everything was right all the time. And I looked at that chair 3 times. I later found out Tally walked by and pulled it out and set it out. Well, I had to run. It wasn't run. It was a 100-yard bear crawl, and you had to roll back. And, of course, I got Bill Kurlavich. Bill is one of the most – Coach Kurlavich. He is one of the most eloquent speakers you'll ever meet in your life. And I got this guy just tearing me to shreds, and I got to get up there and if you'll ever log roll on 120-degree turf, about the third roll in, I got puke flying out of my face mask, and I finally get to that's it. I'm done, man. I'm gonna quit.
Tally did that to you.
He did that to me. Which there's another change of the stars, right? I go back into the locker room. They scoop me up. I feel like I'm gonna die. I had never pushed my body to that limit ever. I was on the brink of death. Okay, and the only thing that saved me, I could hear him muffled through the puke, and my ears were all plugged up, and I could hear, let's go 7-7. A couple guys yelling and screaming. So I finally get across the line. They scoop me up, and I'm in my locker, and I'm sitting in my locker. Man, I got my head down, keep dripping on my face mask, and all of a sudden I get a grab from behind it. Kurlavich is in my ear hole, and he says, "Hey, big guy." He goes, "You hang in there. You're going to be special. You're going to be special." And he walked away. And hey, it worked for about a minute and a half. I was all pumped up. I was like, man, all right, this is cool. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. I can't do this. It's too hard. It's too hard. So I go home to the dorm over there in Towers. I didn't go to dinner. I was like, I'm out of here, man. I called home, Dad. You know, rotary phones, right? I called Dad, you got to come get me. What's the matter? So I can't do this. It's too hard. I'm done, man. I'm out of here. You got to come get me. He's like, I don't think so. I don't think so. Why? Come on, man. No, I didn't raise no quitter. You quit. You ain't coming here. I already turned your room into a den. You ain't coming here, boy. Let me talk to Mom. No. Bob, who's that on the phone? It's your son. Well, let me talk to him. No, I don't think so. Listen, son, if you quit, you go join the Army or you go get a job, but don't come here. Click. I went, what the hell just happened? I said, seriously? And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, well, I really don't want to. I don't want to do that. I might as well. I'm gonna stay. I'll stay. I'll tough it out.
How about
that? And that, you know. But yeah. Oh God, Pally, I love him. Taught. There's another one. Talk about an influence and teaching somebody how to play the game.
Yeah.
You know.
Think about this. I'm going to leave you with two names. Think about two guys you had to block. Great matchups between you and Tim Green from Syracuse and Bruce Smith from Virginia Tech.
Ooh. That 84 season, I played against 6 All-Americans that year. And they were all, you know, two different styles, two different animals. You know, Timmy Green, a little smaller, but Tim was one of the most relentless football players I've ever blocked horns with. I mean, you know, you get into him and you think you got a great block, and all of a sudden you're at number 72, Tim Green on a stop. They'd be like, what the hell happened? He teleport over there. You know, he just didn't quit. You know, he just didn't quit. And of course, you know, the great Bruce Smith. You know, he that year 84, man, I committed to the stadium. You know. All week long. Remember them little pink slips they left while you were out? They wrote a little note
while
on
you
there.
While you were out slip.
I swear to God, man. I'd come in and Jan, one of the secretaries, be sitting there, Brian, you have a message? I'd go over all excited thinking, you know, and I'd get this message. He said, Bruce called, don't be here Saturday to kick your ass. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And then Tuesday, I get to my locker. There's number 78 all scattered over. They got a number 78 jersey hanging in my locker. I'm like, these guys are relentless. So by Friday, I'm so freaking wild tight. You know, so this is true. So we're walking out to do our walkthrough on Friday out there at Mountaineer Field. Virginia Tech's walking off the field. And as I'm walking out with my guys, I happen to glance over and I see Bruce, and he's right on the other side. And I took off running. I'm running. I'm going after him right now. We're doing battle right now.
Friday afternoon.
And I hear kneeling. Brian, come back. And I stopped in my tracks because I heard Coach kneeling. And I stopped and I just, man, I said, your ass is mine tomorrow, man. We're going. Next day, game time. God almighty, you got me juiced up here, Tony, I swear. It's game time. And, you know, I'm away from the team on the sideline. I'm pacing. I can feel myself pacing. I don't remember any of this. This is Dave McMichael telling me this whole story.
Right.
I have no recollection of it because, you know, I was in
Dave McMichael, for those who don't
zone.
know. Dave was the tight ends tackles coach.
Yeah, great
Great guy.
coach. Good dude, man. But I was pacing. I'm pacing. And, of course, I'm getting amped up. You know, the freaking stadium's going nuts. I mean, it's just the energy was incredible. And as I'm pacing, I happen to, again, look across the field, and he's right across from me doing the same thing. So now we're pacing back and forth, just staring at each other, man. And it was the preamble to a great win against a great team. And, you know, and of course I can't take but part of the credit because we had Rob Bennett, Ron Wolfley, Scott Barrows, and we hit him every play with 3 guys. Bam! And if it was backside, If it was backside, I cut him. And he had that real high voice.
I was just going to say
He had that real high voice. Hey, man, get off my knees, man. Get off my knees. I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I do remember that part. I remember him chopping him. How tall is he? 6 what?
Oh, 6'4".
Yeah, and they would just chop him. They chop him, and they chop him. Yeah.
Had the fastest first 2 steps coming out that I've personally ever experienced.
He's a
a great player. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Allen Trophy, NFL Hall of Fame. Great player.
Yeah.
But we had a little something for him.
You did. Think about this. You played in the pros. Wolf played in the pros. I mean, you had guys.
Scotty Barrows played.
Scotty Barrows, right? I mean,
he was with Detroit.
Think about that.
Rob Bennett. Rob, had he not tore his knee up, if you go back to that year, remember Rob was number 1 tight end in America. I think Mark Bavaro was like number 2. And when Rob busted his knee up, ended up going down to the Saints under Jim Mora, and he got fixed down there, but he lost his steps. I mean, he was a big dude running 4.6.
Do you remember he caught a halfback option pass from John Gay to beat Virginia Tech?
That's right. That's exactly right. Holy crap. Good memory. Yeah.
Right side.
Oh,
John Gay went off the right.
Dumped it to him.
No one ever covers a tight end.
Yeah, let me tell you what, old Rob.
No one ever covers a tight end.
Rob Bennett made Gronkowski look like a freaking rocket scientist, man. All right, Rob was from Buchanan, man. Rob was a character. I love him. Love him. We had some great dudes, man. We really did. Our locker rooms were so special. Good people. And what's really cool is the majority of the guys that come back for this golf tournament for Children's Hospital are part of that. Those are those guys. Nealon's guys come back because, again, the way the game was back then, now locker rooms change
We got guys transferring 16 times.
Oh,
but you have coaches in and out too. I mean, that's one of the remarkable things. I mean, not only Coach Nealon, but those assistants stayed so constant.
Think about this: Mike Jacobs, Mick Michael, Doc, Kurlav, Donnie Young, like all those guys, among others.
Then Dunlap comes in, stays 20 years.
All those guys, who's going to give you 20 anymore? No one's going to give you 20.
Nope. Again, it's evolved, it's changed. I give these guys a lot of credit for, in fact, building a locker room and bringing the culture and the culture takes time to develop. We're asking these guys to develop culture in 6 months.
100% right.
That's pretty crazy. So again, these guys that are coming in now as college athletes, they better be ready because you know what? Guess what? If you ain't producing, I'm going to tell you to get in the portal.
Think about this.
How's that?
We talked about this last night on our show. Colorado's second straight year has 50-plus newcomers.
55.
55 this year.
Out of an 85 roster.
How you going to build that, dude? How can you build chemistry? Because all these dudes are getting paid, and they all have their own agenda. I got to get my touches. I got to get my tackles. They're going to freelance. They're not going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to try to go make plays for themselves instead of – you can't do it.
That's
crazy.
It's interesting. It's interesting. And that's why you see a lot of the old guard – is getting out because they can't really evolve or they don't want to evolve.
Yeah.
Or, they don't like the way it's gone or what have you. And then, now you've got, directors of operation, you got all kinds of analysts, you got so many more positions that are involved. Again, you said it earlier, it's the pro model.
Exactly.
It's the pro model. But again, okay, now I'm paying you better damn sight produce. You don't walk in here. You don't have 3 years, 4 years to develop. You better walk in and you better be daggone good if I'm using you as a stopgap.
Exactly.
What about the other side of that is when I do bring you in and develop you for 3 years and all of a sudden you leave, I'm losing all that work and all that time.
Yep.
And the developmental process, and now that guy who I worked hard on, now he goes somewhere because of the money opportunity.
Yeah. But to your point, that's where I give Neal and the staff a lot of credit. They've just said, okay, fine. There's no sense complaining about what it was or what it should be or what I'd like it to be. It just is this, so we're going to figure it out. And they've got that managed real well.
He's focusing on retention. That's what he works on now, more so than I got to go get this guy. He works on I'm going to retain and use that portal just as a sprinkle of salt rather than trying to make it my main meal. And
but when he's had to add, they've got a very good system in place and identify guys, and they've had a high hit rate on that. So they're just handling it. It is what it is. You better learn to deal with it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You got to recruit your locker room every day.
Exactly right.
Like you said, you got to make them want to stay.
Yep.
Why do you want to stay? There's got to be other reasons other than money. It can't be the only reason.
Yeah, it's love, man.
So,
it's like the family thing.
It's got to be.
All right, so this is the odd part of the podcast where we're going to dismiss you, and we're going to keep on doing the stupid stuff that we do.
Thank you.
If you watch it, so where I'm about ready to go into textual healing, we'll put the graphic up, and it'll be like magic, like Joe's will disappear. But before we do that, keep this in mind. So the golf tournament next week is sold out. However, there are 2 opportunities for you to get involved. The night before the golf tournament, the event is open at Tropics, which is here in Morgantown. And I want to hit you with that real quick. That is Thursday, the 11th of July, 6 o'clock. It's $100 a person, and the money, again, goes to WVU Medicine Children's Haas Foundation. And then the golf tournament the next day is sold out. But the next day, Saturday, July 13, the inaugural Let's Go Bowling with the Legends at Suburban Lanes cost you $50 for an individual, $250 for a team of 5, 6 until 8 o'clock. You'll have a former Mountaineer as your bowling partner. And then Daryl Talley will be there after that up at Kegler's Clubhouse. So
real
that
quick, if you don't bowl, you can just show up to Kegler's Clubhouse after the bowling and meet everybody.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
for free. That's a free one.
Come on.
Yeah, after the bowling, you can just kind of show up there, so have a big old time. And as Joe said, he'll do anything pretty much for wings and a pitcher of beer. So just go get wings and a pitcher of beer, and Joe's will be your friend.
It's all about the kids.
That's exactly right.
It's all about the kids. That's why we're doing it.
All right, brother.
Thank
Always
you
great to
very
see you.
much.
He was.
Guys,
hey, listen, he was.
Come out Thursday.
Well,
if you're around, come on out.
Thursday.
You got to come hang out.
Yeah,
You got to. I guarantee you got a Nealon story to get up there and tell.
I got a big.
Come on. Don't tell me. But
the only time he ever cursed at me.
What?
88 season. Made that rap tape, Mountaineer rap.
I remember that.
Yeah, he didn't know that I used Major and Elvo. I didn't tell him that, hey, we're making a rap tape, and then Notre Dame got the tape.
Played it at practice leading
They
into
were
that.
playing it. They were playing it down in Arizona. And so he came up to
propaganda, man.
So he came up to me and he said, in Arizona when I got there, do you know what they're playing before they practice? And I said, no, Coach, what are they playing? You're blanking tape. And I went, hey, we made $17,000 for the Ronald McDonald House.
Heck yeah, holy mackerel.
Just for the kids. Just for the kids.
Man.
He wasn't listening just for the kids that day.
He just, holy
how great is it? How great is it that he's still here and still around and still taking part and still sharp as a knife?
He is a special man. Man's 88 years old and still rocking like a mule, sharp as a tack. I mean, the body's got a little wear and tear on it, but he keeps giving back. He's involved with, again, things that are about kids, man. He's got a big heart, always has.
Yeah.
And we're gonna honor him with some really special stuff Thursday night. So I'm serious. If you guys can come out and be part of that, come on out. We're gonna it'll be a hoot. It'll be a hoot, to say the least.
When you're around, it always is. All right. Brian Jozwiak with us, the ever effervescent Brian Jozwiak on Three Guys Before the Game. Now, you had seen him before. You had never met him.
Hadn't been face to face with him like that. No, that was fun.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely one of the all-time greats, memorable guy, and just amazing stuff there. Where he did not play organized sports up until 10th grade. I never knew. Sir, a couple things I never knew. Never knew about defensive linemen.
Yep.
2 knee injuries, and never knew about the saxophone.
Yeah, you've known him 40 years.
Yeah, never knew about the all-state saxophone. 0.2 of a point from going into a conservatory.
See, there it is again. How many times do we talk about on this show with people? Those one moments that seem little in your life and the grand scope of your life change the course of your life.
Absolutely. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Three Guys Before the Game. Thanks so much for being with us. Our producer is Austin Wright. Three Guys Before the Game brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They happen to be keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Go get a GoMart Rewards card. He said go get a GoMart Rewards card where you can save on food and fuel all the time. Visit them at GoMart.com. Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. Still trying to figure out if Joe's, in fact, did take a pontoon out from Florida. Lou Wendell, located in St. Albans. You can visit them there or on their website at LouWendellMarineSales.com. If it's got anything to do with the water and boating, they're your folks. Award-winning Lou Wendell Marine Sales. That'll do it for us. Episode 559. Three Guys Before the Game. Over and out. Take care, everybody.